Thank you, Madam Chair. This is another great example that the rich don't pay taxes, they pay politicians. So, the Marshall Fire, yes, tragic, obviously very tragic, but also in a very wealthy part of the state. The citizens in my district are not looking to subsidize that. A lot of that was due, like my colleague mentioned, to poor forestry practices. It's great to live in the forest. And a lot of people like to have the trees right up next to their home. Well, the trees here in Colorado are full of sap, and they burn very well. They burn great. And then they burn the house to the ground. Now, who does this job? An enterprise. Let's talk about the enterprise. One thing that I notice here is that $26.4 million times 5 would be greater than $100 million, and that would invite the scrutiny of the Taxpayer Bill of Rights after 5 years. So, solution: 2 enterprises. Same amount of money, just 2 enterprises. And the enterprises here are taking from Peter to secure the vote of Paul. Who does this job well is insurance companies. Insurance companies know how to do this. They know, and when my colleague is saying that this is a statewide network, it is actually a nationwide network. It's a nationwide network, and the insurance companies do it very well. They spread the risk across the board. Now, the things that the General Assembly can do, because California should serve as a tragic example to others in many ways, and they just had an issue along these lines. What they did is the prices in California just kept going up. And when your prices go up for, let's say, energy, and we'll have a bill we'll have the bill a little bit later on the artificial increase in the price of cost of energy, causing the cost of building to go up, adding hundreds of millions of dollars to these structures, adding EV stations, requiring EV things, adding all of this ideological building and codes, creating where we're adding thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to the price of a home, to the price of materials, to the price of energy. So the price of homes has gone up. That causes your insurance. If the price of your home has gone up, you don't have more value in your home, you just have more cost. And why would the value of your home, why would the price of your home go up? Well, inflation. When you insert 30% into the economy of imaginary money called debt, which is what Bidenomics did, you devalue the price, you devalue your wages by 22.5%, and the price of everything goes up. So does the government here look at ways that it could do it and say, what did we do? What did the government, what did the General Assembly do to cause the price of all these things to go up and cause the price of insurance to go up? No, it doesn't do that. It just imposes another solution on top of businesses. And there's no problem the government can't make worse with a solution. So we have these enterprises. In this case, we have 2 enterprises. What to me looks like the ability to, mainly on the effort to stay below the $100 million cap over 5 years. And these enterprises, they pop up like mushrooms, and they usually indicate some sort of rot beneath, and that rot beneath is the way our budgeting process is done, because the General Assembly wants to keep doing this and doing this. So what did we find out in California with the big fire? Well, in California, the insurance prices went up, and so their General Assembly, or whatever they call it, they said they capped the insurance growth. They capped the premium increase. And the insurance agency says, we cannot do this. We cannot keep doing this. And then so about 6 months ago, they got their requisite letters that said, hey, we're going to be canceling your policies. And there was no policies to be had because they were too expensive. So people were without policies. And it's kind of weird. some would say, get into the conspiratorial side, that about 2 weeks after they got their cancellation notices, there was a massive fire. Probably no relation. So what this enterprise does is it essentially collects insurance fees from the people of Colorado to subsidize other areas of Colorado. So you're just taking from one group of people and you're adding it to another group of people. You're subsidizing them. And that's wrong. The insurance company can do that. When you say that this is a statewide thing, this is a statewide agreement, it's not an agreement when it becomes compulsory. And when these policies go out, because this is a 1.5% reduced to 0.5% divided into two enterprises, when you don't solve the underlying problem and you just treat it symptomatically, you don't deal with the underlying problems of what's causing these to go out to these insurance companies to be struggling to say, because I've talked to the insurance agencies here, they've gone year after year after year with losses. It's not a matter of 75% loss, it's a matter of losing money year after year after year. At some point, they'll have to recognize that Colorado is not going to return as a viable industry. These premiums here would be better off taken in by the insurance companies themselves. Just say everybody can raise their rates 1.5%. Because it's the same amount of money. And those insurance agencies can do like what we just had one about, about traffic accident mitigation. The insurance companies would be probably better at doing that, figuring out where that needs to be done. So when I got my house re-roofed, there was the option of going to a class 4 shingle, and so we did that because that lowers the cost overall. So I've mitigated my roof. Now I don't live in an area that's prone to forest fire. So it wouldn't make sense for me to retrofit my home necessarily with a steel roof. But this is making these assumptions. What's really good for hail is a cedar shake roof, but of course that has a fire risk associated with it. That used to be the popular thing in Colorado until the insurance agency said, hey, you know what, these cedar shake roofs do not do well even if there's a fire far away and an ember gets on the roof. Then you have a lot of fuel on your roof. So they incentivize getting rid of cedar shake shingles. And I don't even know if you can get them anymore or if they even meet code. But the market can handle this problem. The place that can't handle this problem is this room. This room cannot handle this problem. What this room needs to do is needs to go back and figure out what it's done to jack up the price of living in Colorado and figure out how to undo the damage that it's done. Not force the payments for the symptoms on Colorado and expect that to go away. The insurance agencies can go now and they can go to these places and they can go, yeah, we're not going to insure your house because you have not mitigated you've not mitigated the fire risk. We're not going to insure you. Where you have something like this, are we going to go in and are we going to make sure that everybody has mitigated their fire risk? We're going to form a government agency to go and tell people that they need to cut down all the trees within 20 yards of their home or whatever it happens to be for the fire mitigation? Or are we just going to subsidize them and say, well, okay, you want to live in a wildfire prone area? That's great. So what we're going to do is we're going to subsidize you. We're going to subsidize your ability to not. Because the other thing is with the insurance is to discourage people from living in fire prone areas. And if you really want to live in a fire prone area, then you're going to have to pay accordingly to live in a fire-prone area, not expect that everybody else subsidize your beautiful forest living. And I've got nothing against living out there, but it is going to be more expensive. And these type of enterprises just encourage that, and then they encourage that burden to be placed on other people. Because if these insurance places go out of business, let's just think about what happened in California. The insurers left. And now what we have done with this policy here, with this bill, these enterprises, is we have added on a 1.5% or 0.5%, which of course can always go up with a stroke of a pen. Another bill. Hey, this enterprise is not maintaining itself. We need to add more money. Can't add too much money, so we'll add another enterprise to make sure that we stay below the $100 million mark over 5 years, so we can continue to tap the people of Colorado. Well, the people of Colorado don't really care if they're paying an insurance premium or if they're paying the government if they're paying the government. So these things where they say, well, the state revenue is going to go up $46 million, going to go up $41 million. But here it says the state revenue is going to go up $41 million, which is coming out of this taxpayer's pocket, and it's going to expend $66 million. So that's the older fiscal note. But then all of a sudden, magically, it's going to take in $26.4 million, so that over 5 years, and then split into two, so it stays below the $100 million. And it's going to expend $26 million. So the difference, 4 million taxpayers, let's say 2 million homes overall, that's $13 per home. So you're going to take in $13 per home, and you're going to expend $13 per home per year. Or are you going to take $13 per home in, and then you're going to spend that money someplace else? Because $13 is not going to go for a lot of mitigation. So what is the point of the $26 million? The $26 million is not going to be spread equally across Colorado. It's going to be focused. Every place in Colorado is hail vulnerable. So $26 million, less shipping and handling. Is going to be distributed around Colorado. So nickel and dime, nickel and dime, nickel and dime. So who's going to benefit from this? Well, I think we know who's going to benefit from this. Who's going to pay for it? The rest of Colorado is going to pay for it. This is going to This is not to benefit the hoi polloi, the majority of the tax-paying widgets. This is to charge the tax-paying widgets, pass that benefit on to those who can get their subsidies into the legislation to tap out of other Coloradans. Because, I mean, you have $26 million. It sounds like a lot of money until, again, you look at that in terms of households, 2 million households, $13 apiece. It's not going, there's not really enough, I don't see that there's enough money there to accomplish anything unless you take it from the broad swath of society and then you focus it on a select few. So this is something that the market can solve. We need this body to fix the market. And the way you fix the free market is you make it free. You free the market. Right now we have a market that is fouled up beyond anything recognizable, and then we complain, you complain, that it doesn't work. And it does work. You just have to get out of it. And that's why we have a Republican form of government. We have a set of values. We have a set of rules. And we don't. The idea is that you have a level playing field. If somebody wants to live in a fire risk zone, let them pay for it. How many homes are you going to have to pay? Let's say if you looked at a mitigation effort of just $1,300, which would be like nothing. You're not even going to get a tree cut down for $1,300. In that case, whoever is getting paid $1,300 is relying on 100 homes for that $1,300. They're relying on 100 other homes to pay for their mitigation. What if it costs $13,000? Well, then they're relying on the homes of 1,000 other taxpayers. This very much the more I do the math on this, the more it seems like a Ponzi scheme. You get people to pay in at the bottom, and the people take money out of the top. There's not enough money to do anything significant in here unless you're focusing those funds that are taken from a very wide swath, a very large base of the pyramid, and then you're applying it to the very pinnacle. The very pinnacle who knows how to secure these funds from the government. So I think where we have our disconnect is that the people of Colorado are hurting. Those 1,000 homes are hurting. And maybe $13 doesn't seem like much to the people that want to live in the fire risk zones, but it's their $13. And these enterprises, we've had half a dozen or more new enterprises just in the last week. $13, $13, $13, $13. For these people in Colorado, that's real money. So again, perhaps I'm wrong, but I think my impression is this is another bill where the rich don't pay taxes, they pay politicians. And that is not the way our government is supposed to work. So this is I don't know if this is a good intention bill. It's messing with the markets. It's robbing from Peter to pay Paul. It's not dealing with the underlying problems. I'll say it's good intentions. That's fine, but this is a bad bill. We need to figure out the underlying problems. Why does this General Assembly keep driving up the cost? Why does this body drive up the cost of home ownership? Driving up the cost of home ownership while striving daily towards the abolition of private property. That does not make sense whatsoever. Pushing people out, pushing insurance companies out, and then wondering why insurance companies are leaving. So it doesn't make sense. Let's deal with the underlying problems. Let's stop trying to poke at symptoms and actually do some work for the people of Colorado.